How's it going, everybody? We're back in the shop today, just working on a White Outdoor Canada model 31AH 55K 4590, and our customer broke this spring down here, so we had to replace that. We're also changing a belt. Now, the generic manual that he gave us specifies that this snowblower takes a 35-inch belt. But we went and tried a 36. That was too tight. 35's too tight, so we're putting a 37 on now. This snowblower, you don't actually have to. Normally, you have to split the front end from the back half of the machine. On this one, all you have to do is just pull your handle up there to lift this wheel, and you can slip the belt right up underneath. You just got to make sure you get clearance past the nut that holds that pulley on, and all you have to do is take this little keeper off. You can slip the belt on, put your keeper back on, and then you can put your access panel back on and flip your machine down and then get it onto the front. You can see that we just took the idler pulley off to make things a little simpler. Also, good time to lubricate all of your gears, lubricate your shaft. We had a little bit of tightness when shifting from first gear into reverse. It wouldn't want to go into reverse, and that's because on this model it has a pretty significant spring. You can see here it was giving us a lot of resistance, and on this model it only has a small light spring here with a very thin cable. So as you can see, if I go up here to shift it, now it's a little bit easier going into reverse. Before I couldn't even get it into reverse. So basically we just lubricated this area here. We lubricated all of the points that it rotates, and a little bit up here too. And now it goes into reverse nice and easy. Also, on this one, it has a belt brake. That's what that spring is for. So when you're putting on the belt, you're going to have to make sure that you take this spring off. Now, we actually have this spring installed backwards. This end's supposed to be over here, and this end's supposed to be over there on the manual. But because it doesn't really have a long arm on this side, it's kind of hard to get it over this little space here. So we're running it like this. We see no problems with it. It's not getting in the way of anything, and you know, there is some clearance in between the spring and the pulley, but when putting your belt on, you're gonna have to take that off just to release the tension on the pulley brake. We're also going to be using a low temperature grease. For this, we're using Mystic Low Temp Extreme Grease. It's a NLGI number 2. It's a low temperature grease, and you want to use that on snowblowers because you're going to be using it in the wintertime. And we use that on the shaft that your shifter linkage moves on. Well, we just picked this up from a guy in Niagara-on-the-Lake, and we got it for 40 bucks. We need it for spreading salt. Friggin' original sticker still on. I don't know if you guys can see that. $199.99, made in the USA, boys. And I don't know who in their right mind would pay $200 for this fucking thing, but we paid 40 bucks for it. Missing a handle, but you know, it still works good. The impeller at the bottom spins, and this is what we use for doing parking lots. You know, it's easy. You throw this in the back of the truck. You got a couple bags of salt, and you just bust them open, dump them in the air. The only thing is it's missing the impeller. You know, that little piece of rebar there, that little piece of metal there, that spins, rotates on the shaft. So we're gonna weld a little piece of, maybe like a 2 or 3 inch piece of rebar on that, so that as you spin it, it'll move the rebar, and that'll just keep the you know, the rock salt from you know, clumping up around these holes. But you know, for the purpose that we need it, it works good. Normally you gotta, you're on off, and that opens and closes a thing like a little slider door. That's busted. We don't really need that. You know, like I said, for the purpose that we're using it for. yeah, I could care less about this little slider here. Yeah, I could care less about that. Basically, we just want it for that little impeller, and it's good enough to throw some salt so that you don't have to walk around with a hand bucket, and yeah, that'll be all right. Working on Sears Craftsman C950 52477-5 snowblower today. They ended up smoking a belt completely off. I got the belt here, trying to find a length to it, but you can see they just totally melted her right off. Just completely burnt it. They were in the wet, heavy snow, and it was a friend of ours, his mom was using it, and they just got into the snow, the wet, heavy stuff, and they just kept going and going and going. We advise against doing that. You should be going in, out, in, out, in, out, or at least go in, stop, and let the auger turn and throw the snow out, because that's the way you burn out a belt. Now we got all these belts, and none of them are the ones we need. We need I think it's a 30 inch by half inch. We don't have any that small, so we're gonna have to run out to the parts store and grab some. And it's an 825 Craftsman, just in case you guys were wondering. Guys, as you can see, we're starting to get rid of quite a bit of our inventory. We still got the Eaton Viking and the 523 we're probably gonna keep for ourselves. We ended up selling the 724D and the 826D John Deere snowblowers. We ended up getting rid of those. Customers are happy. We ended up acquiring the 724D John Deere snowblower on a trade for a Mitsubishi power washer. Now this pressure washer we ended up getting for $50, and then we traded that for the 724D, which wasn't running. We ended up getting the 724D going, and so that basically we had $50 into that, plus I think the cost of some oil, maybe a friction wheel. I forget what exactly we put, but the 724D, it was a great machine. It didn't have electric start, so we sold it for, I think we got like $375 for that. The 826D, that's the one that we got for repairing a guy's Craftsman, and I did a video on that one. So we repaired his Craftsman 1032 snowblower, and he ended up giving us the 826D, and I think we ended up selling that one for $400 total. And that Boland's ST110 riding lawnmower that we ended up picking up, we stripped the 11 horse motor. We ended up selling that. The guy originally agreed on $125, but he came down and he said he really didn't need the starter. He had one. We had just rebuilt the starter and put a $32 starter rebuild kit with the gear and the spring and everything. So we ended up taking $50 off of the deal, and we sold that 11 horse for $75. So all in all, wheeling and dealing, it's pretty lucrative if you know what you're doing. I'm still waiting on the carburetors from Amazon so I can finish up John's 6-horse Craftsman there. We also ended up taking the HR 214 engine off the deck there. That's aluminum, but as you can see, the guy blew out the side of it, so we're just going to scrap that for price of aluminum, and then we'll end up selling that engine for, I don't know, $60, $75. Well, it's a Honda engine, so we might be able to get like 80 or something, but anyways. That's it for today, guys. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe for more weekly videos, and we'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching.